Tonight on Cross Connect, Pastor James Armstrong III will share a powerful word. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
What's going on, family? This is Pastor Jay from Community Fellowship Church of Dallas, and I am welcoming you to Season 2 of Cross Connect. You know, before we get started, I want to pose a question. Are you preparing for what God promised? The reason I ask that is because no one expects something without preparing for it. Think about it. A lady who is pregnant, she's expecting a baby, and she prepares for what she's expecting. She goes out and buys clothes. She prepares a baby shower. She buys diapers. Her expectation produces an action. And if we are going to expect God to do great things in our life, if we're going to expect God for greater, our expectation must produce action. You know, God can only move at the level of our expectation, but the level at which we are expecting God to move is seen in the level of our preparation. Our expectation must produce action. The perfect example of this is found in Joshua chapter 1. Joshua 1:10, the Bible says that Joshua commanded his officers to go throughout the camp and tell the people of God that in 3 days they were going to cross over the river Jordan and possess what God promised. It wasn't enough for God to promise. It wasn't enough to expect God to fulfill the promise, but they had to move on their expectation. A lot of us, we're expecting God, we're praying, we're begging God to fulfill the promises in our life. But God is saying that we are on the other side of Jordan. And in order for him to perform what he promised, we're going to have to go over to the other side. We are going to have to position ourselves to possess what God promised. You know, a lot of us, because of life's disappointments, we've gotten ourselves into a position where we don't move off of our expectation. We just hope, we just wish, we want God to move. But if you want God to move in your life, if you're expecting for God to move in your life, I want to encourage you to produce an action with your expectation. If you're expecting God to take your career to a next level, begin to prepare for it. If you're expecting for a husband or a wife, begin to prepare for it. Because I promise you that if you prepare for what you are expecting, then God will move. The Bible says in Proverbs 23:18, it says that our expectation will not be destroyed. That means that whatever we are expecting from God, if we move on our expectation, God shall fulfill it. And while we close, remember that our expectation is the bridge between what God promised and when God performs. Expect God for greater and watch him move. Take care.